Welcome. This is Tim David from Get Speaking Gigs. I come to you live every single day, whether I'm in my office or not. And today I'm here to talk to you about the fastest way to book paid corporate speaking gigs without an agent. Stick around. Yes, indeed. Without an agent, I'll tell you, having an organization behind you is a nice way to break in to a speaking industry and get fast speaking gigs. So if you work for a corporation and you become a corporate trainer, well, consider them kind of like your agent. Yes, if you have a speakers bureau representing you, yeah, you can kind of consider them certainly an agent. Or you could work for like a training company, an independent third-party training company who goes into the corporations, and you can become a trainer for them. And that is sort of like, again, overnight speaking gigs. Now, if you want to do this on your own, there are many benefits to doing it on your own. The first of which is you get to keep all the money, right? I think that's a nice place to be. All right. Speaking of nice place to be, you are in a nice place to be right now on my YouTube channel or in my Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe to both, to follow both, and make sure you hit the little bell notifier because I'm on every single day, different times every single day, and you never know when you're going to get your next boost of speaking business gold. So today's speaking business gold is, of course, getting corporate speaking gigs fast without any kind of agent. So the first thing is mindset. You've got to have sort of this idea and thought that you'll be able to figure it out. All right. So many people feel like, well, I've got to have my voice process all in place before I go and get speaking gigs. I've got to make it so that they can say yes to me. And that is true to an extent. But I want you to imagine if someone came up to you and says, we want to hire you to be our speaker. Do you think you could maybe figure those things out? Right. So we often say the phrase market before you make it in the Get Speaking Gigs world. And, part of that has the thinking behind it. Like, I can figure this out. I can put something together in time. I can put together a speech. I can put together like all that stuff. You got to just have that figure it out attitude, and then you can be even faster. And that's what we're talking about. Again, the fastest way to book speaking gigs, not setting up all your ducks in a row and making sure everything is perfect. We're gonna go for speed here today. And hello, Dean. What up? Play a good day, brother, to you as well. All right. So the first thing you need after believing that you can figure it out, that you have this can-do market before you make it mindset, is you need an advocate. You need an advocate within a corporation. You need someone who wants to hire you, someone who has the idea to bring you into their organization. And this could be someone at any level at any position. I have had every possible combination and title imaginable. So people are often like, hey, who do I email in companies to get speaking gigs? What's their title? It's like, I don't know. It's different all the time. What you need is an advocate. Now, when you have an advocate, and I have this kind of laid out in my little chart for you today, and like a little tree right here, the advocate can be someone who saw you speak, right? That is one of the best kinds of advocates. They know what you can do on a stage. They don't need demo videos. They don't need testimonials. They don't need social proof where you're on Forbes and, the Today Show or anything like that. They've seen you speak. They've seen you rock the stage. Now, that can happen in 3 ways, right? So let's follow the tree here. They can see you speak live. They can see you speak digitally or virtually. And they can see your content that you post. So they can see like your ideas, right? Because they're buying 2 things from you. They're buying the message and they're buying the messenger. Sometimes the message itself is enough. Like, oh my gosh, that is something that'll speak to us. Can you come and share that with our people? Hey, would you mind if I post that video in our intranet? And I'll say, sure. Or I could just come and speak and make it live and personal. And so those types of ins that you might have with an advocate. They see you speak, they see you present digitally or virtually, or they see your content online. Maybe they see your videos, right? Maybe you're, as Dean says, serving your way to success. You're giving away content and impressing the right people in the right places. So that is, or maybe they read your book, right? Or something like that. That is another form of content, of course. So then the other 2, if they haven't seen you, then there's 2 more options to get an advocate. Either they find you or you find them. Either they find you or you find them. So maybe they're doing a Google search and you come up. Maybe they find your website and they're browsing and they think you might be a good fit. Or maybe you hear about a conference coming to your city and you reach out and you say, hey, I see you're going to be showcasing at this conference, or exhibiting at this conference. Let's have a conversation. So it's obviously in that order for a reason. If they see you, it's a better advocate than if they find you, which is an even better advocate than if you find them. But all of those are possible inroads to getting your advocate. And then the third piece of the pie to get very, very quick speaking gigs, right? Once you've got your advocate, is to have the ability for that advocate to sell you to the company, right? That's what you need. That's what you need in place. You need the belief that you'll figure it out along the way in terms of invoicing and contracts and all those things. So that they have the ability, to say yes to you, right? And that you have a speech that you'll be able to deliver in time, right? By the time the event rolls around. So you've got the figure it out attitude. You've got an advocate, and then you give that advocate the ability to sell you. Once they sell you, once they say yes to you and you figure out the process, you've got yourself that speaking gig, right? You've got yourself booked in the corporate market. Now, how can they sell you? I like to say that you need two things in order for them to sell you. You need bookability, which is a suite of components, right? Like you need to have clarity of your message. You need to, basically have it such that it is not just clarity of the message of what it is, but in communicating, right? So it's about speaking about what you speak about or writing about what you speak about. So that is the definition, I guess, of bookability or sellability. And it's how you are unique. It is why someone should do business with you. And it's answering those types of questions very, very quickly and clearly and concisely and compellingly, right? And the next is, so for example, right? Like if you have a really, really bookable topic that is just so in demand and people are falling all over themselves to book it, and they Google this topic and your website comes up and you have the clearest, most direct message and you're saying things like, oh, you want that? Well, I do that all day, every day. I eat, sleep, and breathe that. That is my jam. And here's how I can communicate it to your people. Boom, boom, boom. This is what they'll walk away with. That is a bookable speech right there. And then finally, you need assets, bookability assets. So things like a demo video is pretty darn good if you want to have an advocate sell you. Things like, some people call it a one sheet. I say death to one sheets. I teach my clients something called a $50,000 piece of paper, which is so different from your average one sheet. And it is so focused on the bookability components and not on things like, oh, here's my bio and here are the places I have appeared in the media. They don't care about any of that stuff. Get to the point and be clear about it. So those bookability assets, I have several. If somebody says, hey, they don't say I'm an advocate, but hey, I'm interested. Can you send me something, right? I'll have a conversation with them. I have this whole process, of course. But when it comes time to send them the assets, they get, proposal, they get a sales letter, they get a bunch of some gifts and some links and some resources. They get, I think I said demo video, they get a document, 13 reasons why Tim's clients recommend that you would hire him too. And there are 13 reasons. And after each of the reasons is a testimonial from a client who is saying that I did that for them, right? So his message is relevant. Here is so-and-so saying that my message is relevant. You want to book him because he's an engaging speaker. Here is a client saying Tim was an engaging speaker, right? I also have the advanced version of that, which is 5 reasons not to hire Tim David. And that is a technique that I learned from Dr. Robert Cialdini, right? He told it to me personally. He said, hey, listen, Tim, this is the single greatest influence technique that I know. Tell them why not to hire you. And, I certainly took that to heart, and that has been a arrow in my quiver ever since, that I am never hesitant to deploy. And, yes, it does have a tongue-in-cheek reason in there. The 5th reason is because you'll never be able to top him next year, because you won't be able to top him this year. He'll get off stage and all the other speakers will be like, well, I quit. I don't say that directly, but it's tongue in cheek, of course, and I make note of that, and it is said lightly and with levity. So you need assets like that, right? So that they can take those assets, turn around, and give them to the people who are hiring. Now, listen, maybe you don't have all those done yet. Maybe you can just jump on a camera and send them a LinkedIn video on LinkedIn and say, "Hi, thanks so much for your interest in my speaking presentations. This is why," and then you deliver a message that they can then turn around and show to the speaker selection committee or the board or the boss, whatever it is. So that is all you need. And that is the quickest path to paid corporate speaking gigs. That is how you get in. You have an in. You have an advocate. That is the way to do it. And yes, indeed. Dean also says the fastest way, or fast way to get gigs is come to them as a prepaid with champion partners who want to get in front of some hearts and minds. Yeah, so even if it's free, Dean, even if you come to them and say, "Hey, I've got a free speech that XYZ sponsor organization is paying for," and they want to get in front of your audience, you still have to sell free. You still have to convince them to get their employees off work or come after hours, or to set up some kind of event like that, or digital or other opportunity. It still has to be sold for sure. All right, that is it from me today. As always, we will see you again tomorrow. Go ahead and get some speaking gigs, and we'll speak soon.